Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's focus is CoreUI. What we'd like to do here is to place everything that has to do with visual, images, components, theming inside this CoreUI. Same thing as we have done in the Vue3 application. As a side note, sorry for the font size. I just realized that I did not increase the font size, so the code is going to be readable for you guys. Sorry about that. What we would like to do here in this particular tutorial, or this first section, we will be proceeding or customizing our theming, and everything that has to do with theming, we're really putting it this way. What I mean with that, in our main module, app module, we have resources and we have theming here. We're no longer going to rely on theming here. Instead, we will be doing this in the CoreUI. Other than that, I will be preparing the assets for this tutorial or for this CoreUI in order to use it in our features. For the second section, we will be implementing the utils for every single video, 3 components maximum. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's create a brand new module. So file, new module, CoreUI. As usual, we have to delete those 2 lines and switch to the project. You can find here the CoreUI. Click on build source and let's customize this file. So we will be using the Android library, and again, Kotlin Android, and the alias library plugins Kotlin Compose. We'll be using the namespace and the build feature. And let's add the needed dependencies. Those are the needed dependencies, and we have to apply here the shared Gradle plugin. So I'm going to comment initially the dependencies, and I'm going to comment initially the alias library plugins Kotlin Compose. Let's try to sync the project. Now let's switch to Android, and now we have the CoreUI in the list. Let's uncomment this and uncomment those dependencies. Basically, we will be using Compose, Ktor, Pager, Constraints, and Splash Screen and Android. Let's sync now. So this is how I proceed to avoid extra headaches from Android Studio. I would like to come back to the build source and add this module. With the same manner, I'm going to add CoreUI. Let's add another constant. You can copy the name of the module in the settings, that's gradle.kts. It's going to be called CoreUI. And let's come back to the dependency helper and add here CoreUI. We will be focusing on setting the assets, the theming of our application. Basically, 2 options. The first one is to delete all the stuff that has to do with theming in the app module, or we can copy those files in CoreUI. This is a personal preference. I would like to proceed from scratch. So what I have to do here is I'm going to create the theming as well as putting the assets, aka the Lutty animations and all the drawables inside the CoreUI, and feed our application and features with the stuff from CoreUI, or the assets and components and theming from CoreUI. Basically, that's what we are going to do here. Under CoreUI, we need to add here some resources. So add a resource folder. Inside the resource folder, we need actually to put our drawables. You can find the drawables in the GitHub repository under the related branch. So now we can create our launcher icon. So I'll be doing image asset, and I will be selecting the path to my project. So make sure to select the foreground, click on open. With the same way, I'm going to select the background, just copy the path, paste it here, and let's select the background. Let's resize this a little bit and hit next. It's worth mentioning there are some small artifacts here, but it doesn't matter. And click finish. So the launcher icons are from our CoreUI. Let's add to the resource folder a new folder for fonts. Under folder, click on font folder, hit finish. And I will add here the fonts that we'll be using in our application. It is Lato, the same font as the Vue3 application. With the same manner, download the whole project, copy the contents folder of font and paste it in the resource font folder. So we have Lato bold and Lato regular. Now we have to create the strings as well as theme and splash screen within the folder values. So under resource folder, click on XML and choose values XML file. Hit finish. We are not interested in this values. Delete it. First of all, create a new file under values colors.xml. Those are the colors that we'll be using in our app. Next, we'll be creating the strings.xml. I will be providing here the entire strings that we will be using across the modules and in the main application. It's basically the same strings that we have used in Vue3 application. New file, strings. So it's going to hold the application name, welcome header, and all the necessary strings that we'll be using throughout or across the modules, as well as some content description that we'll be using, of course, in our components. And for the record, the content description is pretty handy when we are going to deal with end-to-end testing or testing in general. Now we are ready to define our themes or the theme of our application. New file, themes.xml. The theme name is Pocket Goods. No action bar. We have applied the status bar color to this color and window translucent status to true and the window background to color primary. Now let's define the splash screen theme. So I assume that you are familiar with creating splash screen in Android and Kotlin. The Windows splash screen background is set to from the color that we have defined previously. The Windows splash screen animation this is the logo of our app. So basically it's the logo that will be displayed in our splash screen and the animation duration 4 seconds. The style or the post screen theme, the style that will be applied after the splash screen is theme Pocket Goods that we have defined in themes and window translucent status to true. Let's add the assets folder to our CoreUI. So under CoreUI, new folder, choose assets folder. Hit finish. I will paste here the two animation files that will be used in the home screen as well as the page 404 or 401. Discount offers, it's basically the animation that we have done previously in Vue3 under the home screen and Luti animation in page 401. So under Kotlin Java and under CoreUI, add a new package or 3 packages. First one is component, theme, and util. It's self-explanatory here. Component is basically where our components gonna be, the reusable components that will be used across the different modules. The theme is gonna be for the compose theme and util for all the utility functionalities that we will need throughout the entire project. For the theme, let's start, of course, because this is the main focus of today's video. It's gonna be on theme. So open the theme and we will do the same thing as done here, basically in the main application. We'll define color, theme, and typography. And once we are ready to implement the app module, we will delete the theme and everything that has to do with resource and whatnot. But initially, we're going to keep those files for now, and let's define the same files in theme. So for the colors, I'm gonna provide directly the colors that will be used across the application. So those are the colors that we need, and it's the same colors that we have defined previously in the Vue3 application and the theming. The next file, it's gonna be for shape, basically for the rounded corners. If you don't like the values here, you can adjust the values according to your liking. Now for the typography. So the font family, it's gonna be Lato. The Lato typography. And again, if you don't like those values, you can override those values according to what you like. Next, it's gonna be for the theme. Consists of 2 themes, dark color and light color. So nothing substantial, as I said again. It's the same thing that has been defined by default under themes here. We have just added some new colors and we have override the secondary error, background on error on surface. And the name of our theme, it's gonna be called Pocket Goods theme, For the material theme, we have provided color scheme, typography, shapes, background dynamically according to the theme that we will do. Under the Android manifest, let's add the permission, internet permission, since our application and more specifically the image composable, it's going to be dealing with internet or loading the image from the internet. We have to add these permissions here. So I think that's pretty much it for today's video. For the next one, we will be focusing on the util package, basically everything that has to do with utilities, perhaps the same stuff that we have defined in the Vue3 application, but we're going to add some more functionalities that we will need across the entire project. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one. Happy coding!